what's next for this team, because there are a lot of questions as it comes to the Sixers. And Keith, I'm not stalking you or anything, but I was checking out your Twitter for a while, and I can't tell. You said before, Embiid kind of says things with like leaving some hints, and I saw one thing that you put out of Ace Bailey putting on 20 pounds of muscle, and I don't know, is that an idea? Is that something that's coming up? I know there was the pushing away of the pre-draft workout. He didn't do it with them. What are you hearing in terms of as it comes to Edgecombe, Ace Bailey? Do they even go with the pick? Are they trying to? What's the plan here?
I
I
think
I want to add one more part to this question as well.
okay.
What would your preference be? There's always like the best, what the best option is versus what your approach would want to be.
It's weird because I really like Edgecombe as a person. I think that he's going to be some people say he could be a good player in this league. Um, but right now, I feel like the 76ers need to swing for the fence. Boom. You know, and I think Ace Bailey would be the fence. Like, is a reason
I knew
why
it.
is a reason why teams are telling him to not work out because
Yeah.
they want him to slide. You know what I mean? And the one thing I'm gonna share, and you guys know this. So I basically judge players, and I think maybe we all do. We judge players how they're treated by others. Now, meaning yesterday, Cooper Flagg got the majority of the media throng and all this. He had everyone around him. It was kind of like royalty, right? Everybody was saying stuff. He was like, this and that, da da da. Well, then he leaves out, and then Ace Bailey comes in, and of course, because of his refusal to working out for teams, there was a lot of people at his podium too. But when he got done and he was walking around, you should have seen how the other draft prospects were like running up to him and admiring him. And it was kind of sort of like the champ is here. The champ is here. Like he walked in, he commanded the room. And I'm like, yo, like all these
What's the
guys
deal?
respect this dude like this. So in their eyes, it's kind of like Cooper is the man, but this guy, they're acting like he was the chosen one just by the respect. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa. I mean, that means he must have been doing some nasty work against them for years, and they all expect him to be the dude. So with that being said, it's kind of like I look at it and I say, maybe you may have to take a shot at him, even though he didn't work out for you. He didn't do any, he refused. But, I think that the question when we talk about doing it, they have to get a guy. And you need a guy because when we look at it, Paul George is 35. Joel Embiid had 2 left knee surgeries in 14 months, 3 and 9 years. You need a guy that's going to be a running mate with Tyrese Maxey down the road. There is no one in this draft outside of maybe Cooper Flagg who you can throw into a lineup and say from day one that this dude is going to help us win a championship, comparable with the other pieces we had. So if that's the case, even though the time is now, if there's only one of them, I'm taking the other guy who has the biggest upside. Even some people may even say he has a bigger upside than Cooper. So for me, that would be my pick, in my opinion. But they need a lot. They really need a lot. But the biggest thing is health. Without a healthy Embiid, I don't think they're going anywhere, to be honest.
Do you think there's, again, tell us if you can't speak about this, but do you think there's any validity to people saying that they might take Con Knipple at the spot?
I don't think so. I mean, who knows? I'm saying that, and guess something could happen tonight, right, or whatever. my thing is when you look at Con Knipple, I think, and you hear the stuff that the Charlotte Hornets want him at number 4, but when you look at Con, no offense to Con Knipple, but the things that he would do for you are the things that you would want a Quentin Grimes to be able to do, like
Right.
knock down the shots, play off of other players, and can Knipple guard on the NBA level? Because whoever that person's going to be, you're going to have to do some heavy guarding as well, And Knipple is a solid guy that I would like as a trade back spot because then there's less pressure. And then also, if you trade the pick, you're going to get another pick too. So you got him and another guy. But I look at him as a role player in the league. And typically you want the 3rd overall pick to be somebody that's going to be a star, a superstar,
Right. It feels like drafting a kicker high. You're like,
yeah, unfortunately, but that comparison, but yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't the
You
Raiders
know,
do it one year? Remember when they got
Yeah.
Janikowski? Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
what are you hearing in terms of we've all seen reports of maybe they're going to package the 3rd pick in Paul George. Is this a real thing? Is this something that they're really looking into of trading out of the 3rd slot or trying to package it with Paul George, with Embiid? What are you hearing?
I mean, I'm hearing that everything's on the table. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the analogy I give people is kind of like, if you know a guy and he has a Rolex watch and you have $50 and you say, hey man, I'll give you this Rolex for 50. If he takes the deal, that's a great deal, right? So when you look at PG, no offense to Paul George, but he has $160 something million left on his contract. That's a hard to move contract. But if so you're going to say, no, we're not trying to move him. But if there's a team that's willing to take that money,
right.
Oh yeah, you want to do it because it's going to help you out. So I think when it comes down to the 76ers, everything's on the table right about now because, they have hurdles to overcome.
It feels similar to me, like the Warriors in 2020, right when they had the Wiseman pick, where you have the quote unquote 2 timelines, and you have, like, personally, I don't think that Paul George is going to play like this next year. I don't think he's going to return to all-star form, but I think that this was just like the worst case scenario for the whole team was just how this year turned out. I do think that they have better future prospects, and I agree with you in regards to the Ace Bailey pick that, like, you have enough talent on this team that I feel like this is the right, like, this is the time to swing.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's a chance that, like you're saying, there's if they get some offer that's good enough for Paul George and the pick, that it's very, very tempting. That being said, do you think that they would still try to stay within the top 10 lottery, like 12 kind of space, or do you think that they would be willing to risk it if it was good enough to even remove them entirely from the draft?
I mean, I guess it depends on the type of player you get. You know, but aside from that, I think you can't really, when we talk about the financial ramifications with the second apron and everything like that, I think your best bet is if you get rid of somebody is like getting it young, but you don't want to go too far down because you want, like, you can't have Tyrese Maxey in a situation like it was this past season, him with a bunch of role players. You want this guy to be high enough to be someone that you feel like is going to be a star in the making, right? I don't know how, like, everyone keeps talking about, remember how they all kept saying how great this draft was? Like, oh, this is going to be the best draft since LeBron James and D Wade and all that, Carmelo Anthony. And now they're like, oh, there's only 2 can't miss players in the draft. So if you slide out
Not
from
according to
3,
Keith Pompey.
yeah, well, if you slide out from number 3 and you go too far down,
Yeah.
what was the reason for tanking?
Right.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I think about is just everyone's talking about the Mavericks, and they have Kyrie, they have Anthony Davis, they have all this talent, and now all of a sudden they get a top pick, Cooper Flagg, and they're going to be this amazing team, and they have such a great setup. To me, the Sixers are in a better place. I'd much rather the team that the Sixers have. Kyrie, first of all, I'm a Net fan, so Kyrie and Nets fans just.
You have to be careful who you say that to, by the way. You got to be careful.
Yeah. And just Anthony Davis got hurt last. I know he had been healthy for the previous years, but he's always had his injury concerns. I understand they have this and Klay Thompson looks like he's on the downward trend also. You got Maxey, who's on the up and up. You got Paul George, who doesn't have to be Paul George in order to be successful for this team. Joel Embiid is one of the most dominant players in the league when healthy, and now you can potentially add an Ace Bailey or something like that. It just seems like a really interesting fit.